Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. It is, wow, we're back on this Wednesday thing. It is Wednesday, July 21st, and this podcast will actually go up tonight because if it doesn't, it's going to be over a week late because I'm going to be out of town for the holidays. So happy holidays, everybody, and I'm joined by my good buddy.
LeBron James.
You're not even trying. You just mailed that in.
Yeah, I just kind of looked around my room and I saw a sports almanac and his picture was on it.
Was it the 1985 Sports Almanac?
2010.
I guess it wouldn't be, right?
No, 85 had Georgia Brett on cover.
Very good.
Yeah.
What? Did you just make that up, or did you really know that?
The Pine Tar incident, he runs out of the dugout.
Oh, right. So you're sticking with this Back to the Future theme that we're going with here.
Oh, is that you're? I'm actually really talking about real sports almanacs, and you're talking about movies.
I'm talking about there was the whole Sports Almanac thing back in, like, Marty brought it back from the future to use it for personal gain.
Excuse me, streamer. That's Back to the Future 2.
Yeah?
I'm sorry, you're not streaming. My bad.
Oh, okay.
I can't be condescending to the streamer. This is not Twitch.
Oh, but okay, so that's our first random rant, or random rambling, but I'm sure we'll have more. Larry, you got any news and notes? Because I have another segment to introduce that I probably should have told you off air, but I want to introduce it shortly.
No. I mean, WWE signed a couple people. Andrea.
Sure.
Or Andrea, whatever you want to call her, from she wrestled Shine. She wrestled TNA a while ago, retired because of health reasons, dropped a lot of weight. She was responsible technically for all the injuries caused to Daphne and the lawsuits they were after. But she was really good in Shine. She's part of a like a strong stable with April Hunter, and but that stable might be done now. I'm kind of behind, but April Hunter and Jamie Jameson. It was pretty good. So I'm looking forward to that. Mickie James reportedly signed, but main roster. But they're not really commenting too much on that.
Yeah, it's
right
weird.
Now.
It seems like there's been just like gift-wrapped opportunities to introduce her, and yet nothing's happened yet.
No, but again, it kind of falls along the same lines of, hey, Lisa Marie, Victoria, Tara is coming back. You know, who really knows? Like, I don't know if this made front page. I don't know if this made WWE.com or if this just made all the musings on the internet or not. And then Zack Ryder's out in months, like 9 months.
Yeah, 4 to 9.
Of his knee.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So there was probably a couple things.
Talk about, I mean, like, Zach's just a generally safe worker, but just the wear and tear, and then a freak happening, and there you go, 4 to 9.
I mean, he's Mr.
Crazy.
Oh, Heidi Lovelace was also one of the ones signed, and she made her farewell speech to her local, or I guess her main indie fed. So Zack Ryder is the king of battle royals, by the way. Like, I don't know if there's a battle royal where he didn't win.
Was he in? No, he wasn't. Never mind. I was going to say, was he in the Memorial this past year? But no, he was the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, he might have been in those matches. The other 2 times as well. But no, I mean, it's just like spot.
Yeah.
Raw or SmackDown, Royal Rumble for no reason. Like, it was almost like Zack Ryder always won, or Royal Rumble for a U.S. title shot. Like, it just seemed like he would win pretty much all the time. Hey, listen, what are your thoughts about this United States, the United Kingdom, UK Championship, and what the hell is it?
Well, are we still in news and notes, or can I introduce my new segment and we come back to that?
You can introduce your new segment if you want.
What game are you playing right now, Larry?
I am playing right now, currently Minesweeper.
No, not while I'm talking.
Oh,
What
okay.
What game are you generally playing outside of the podcast at the moment?
Overwatch.
Oh yeah, you finally got into it.
Zelda 2.
Yep.
Should I keep going down the line?
Yeah, Larry's like a play 10 games at once guy. I know you were doing the Marvel Heroes Winter event too, right?
I was Binding of Isaac, Anti-Birth. I've been doing RimWorld Alpha 16 just came out, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Dang, dude.
But, I don't know what my Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, so I've been playing one game because that's kind of how I am. And it's not a new game, much like Larry's List, but it's not an old game, but it's the
The
game
game.
I'm playing
Okay.
right now. Yeah.
All right.
And
So
it's Guacamelee. Have you played that game?
no, is that the Super Mario Run game?
No, it's Guacamelee. It's a game that came out
Looking it up.
just a few years ago from Campo Santo, the guys who made Firewatch, the pretty popular game that came out here in the past year. But I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago they did.
Firewatch, the depressing one where you're like in the woods and like you're corresponding with a girlfriend who's breaking up with you on the computer or something like that.
I don't know. I don't know the plot. I haven't played it yet. God, I just know you're in the woods.
That was like in the first like 2 seconds of the game.
Okay,
That's
well
all
then I
know
won't
about
feel
it.
bad about that. But I don't know if it's supposed to be depressing. I've heard it's a pretty good game. But anyway, Guacamelee is really fun. It's a platformer, and it's basically a Metroidvania game, which is not what I thought it was. And when I started playing, when I finally was like, I've had this game forever off of a Steam sale, and to prevent myself from buying a bunch of stuff on the upcoming Steam sale, I'm going to start playing a game that I haven't played yet, that I bought a long time ago. And Guacamelee was one of those games, and man, I love Metroidvania games. That's like my favorite type of game, period. Hands down. That's it. That's my favorite. I'm not that good at them. I take forever. I'm not beating any time records like Larry does, but it's my favorite kind of game, and so I've really been enjoying it. I got to the end today, and I got to that last checkpoint where it's just like, okay, this is it. Are you ready to go? And it's basically saying, hey, if you want to 100% the game, turn back now because you're about to finish the game, and so you won't be able to 100% it. And I want to 100% it, so I'm still a little ways off. I've got to run around and find some collectibles and unlock one more power, and then I'll head back in to the final boss encounter. So I'm really enjoying it, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a wrestling themed Metroidvania game. It's a luchador, like lucha libre based game. So the main character is given superpowers by putting on a lucha libre mask, and now he can save the townspeople from the evil Skeleton King. So pretty cool, pretty fun. I'm having a blast with it.
I don't see Campo Santo's name associated with it though.
What?
Drinkbox Studios.
Maybe I was making that up.
Drinkbox Studios. They did Tales from Space, About a Blob, Mutant Blob's Attack, Guacamelee, Guacamelee Gold, Super Turbo Championship Edition, and Severed. I'm looking up Campo Santo.
Yeah, and it looks like all they've got is Firewatch. Yeah,
Firewatch. Yeah,
maybe they're guys that came out of that.
it
I
could
don't
be.
know.
It could be guys that came out of that. It could be the same. It could be just a separate company, same guys, stuff like that. I'm trying to find the correlation between the two,
and there may not be. I thought they were connected because there's Campo Santo in the game, which I understand that's Spanish. So, and it's based around lucha libre. So of course there's lots of Spanish things, but I thought it just seemed too possible. It didn't seem that they would not be connected, but maybe they're not. Where was Campo Santo? The studio was based out of some.
I'm trying to think if it's one of those like this is the publisher, this is the development.
No. Campo Santo was the or Campo Santo, however you're supposed to say it. The guys who made Firewatch, I believe, they are a splinter of a former studio that either closed down or laid off a bunch of people.
Pseudo Interactive was a studio that closed down.
There you go.
That was from that's from Drinkbox. That's the Guacamelee guys.
Oh, so that's Drinkbox. Okay.
Yeah, but I still couldn't. These other guys could be still a part of it,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
just like the
know.
the Drinkbox Studios list is like entry on Wikipedia is like very small,
Yeah, and it
and the
may just
Firewatch one is very detailed. So it's like it might be just like missing.
and it may very well be that I completely mixed up my stories, and these two aren't related in any way, except that the name of this one company is in this other company's game because the other company's game has Spanish in it, and it's Spanish. So that could very well be. I may have messed it up. So anyway, but they both seem to be pretty fun companies, or they make pretty fun games, and I'm really enjoying Guacamelee. Check it out, Larry. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, no,
That's not
I
sponsored
definitely.
content. It's just what I'm
No
playing right
sponsored
now.
content. I wish we had sponsored
Yeah,
content
that'd be
because the
great.
Steam sales tomorrow, and
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not.
sure
I'm glad I'm going to be gone and not at my computer.
I have a few things on my list. I have Enter the Gungeon was on my list, and then it went on sale for like $5 today on another
Nice.
site. I'm like, all right, well, 5 instead of 15. I'll take that. I'll take my chance that I'm not going to overpay
Yeah.
on that because I think I've only seen it 50% off, and that's like $7.99 or whatever. So I'm like, all right, I'll do that. But it's not a lot I want, but like I'm all into the bundles now. Like, give me a nice bundle,
Oh, Enter the Gungeon is like one of the top-down like little
like a Binding of Isaac kind
shooter
of,
type
yeah,
games. Yeah.
roguelike, yeah.
Yeah.
Right
Gotcha.
up my alley. Every time you play it, it's a different game.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
that's kind of stuff I like. But yeah, no, hey, listen, I'll compare some things I bought next week
Sweet.
on
Yeah,
the
we'll
sale.
have
Yeah,
to we'll have to keep this going, and maybe I won't be on the same game every single week. Maybe this will encourage me to play through my library of games that I've bought and never played. So,
what are you playing now? I'm playing GeoGuessr. Hey, let's talk about Roadblock real
yeah.
quick.
Well, did you still want to talk about the UK thing, or do you want to just save that for
I'm
later?
actually kind of over it. No, I'm just no. I just have a genuine question.
Okay.
Like, I understand we're having a tournament. It looks like it's going to be aired on the network for 2 days. Like, it's going to be a 2-day network exclusive tournament.
Yes.
But then, like, the title is defended in the UK only on Raw, on SmackDown. Like, I don't understand what the title is going to. Is it like a King of the Ring where there's going to be like a champion? I just don't understand what the title is.
Yeah, I don't know either because, as far as from what I understand, from things Regal has said publicly, this tournament does not take guys away from doing any of their other dates. This that like
Right. So is it like
this
a
isn't any sort of exclusivity deal. So I don't know. I
So
don't know where.
IPW UK, like, are they working with these other companies, and this title is just going to get defended, like NWA territory days? Like, is it just now like WWE is like the NWA of the smaller territories in the UK, and their champion is going to be putting the other person's 60-minute Broadway matches across the UK. Like, I just don't understand. Or is it going to be like something where like the title is going to get defended every pay-per-view? They're going to fly somebody in. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the end game is.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah.
It's not
What happens
transparent.
after the tournament? Right.
It's not transparent. So that was my question to you. If you
Yeah, I
knew,
have
and
no idea.
no, okay. Well, I guess we'll see. Well,
So
I
we'll
guess we'll
move.
find
I guess we'll move to Roadblock then.
out. Basically,
Yeah.
um, hey, what do you think? What do you think was the best part of Roadblock?
Best part of Roadblock was. I got nothing. It wasn't that great a show.
Would you be surprised if I told you that I took a 3-hour nap? The duration of Roadblock.
Not really, because and you're not like trying to be insulting. You're just saying it happened, right? Or are you trying
I'm
to be
just saying
insulting?
I crashed.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
me, I have sleep problems. And I was laying down watching it, and I'm just like, you know what? I'll just kind of like, I'm just going to rest a little bit. But I don't have that kind of deep sleep. So I kind of woke up at the end of, like, as every match was ending. I woke up. Like, just maybe something in Michael Cole's voice, like, just like the level of their volume or whatever. just the way they were speaking, like they got a little bit louder maybe, or a little bit more excited, and like I would just wake up. And I caught the end of every single match, but I didn't see most of the most of the matches. I think I saw the whole Kevin Owens Roman Reigns match, but every other match, all I did was catch the end or the aftermath of the ending of it. So I can't give you a real good rating. I could not grade Roadblock because I just didn't see most of it. But I kind of liked what I saw, and then I kind of like was okay with not rewatching what I know I didn't see.
Oh wait, hang on. The highlight
Yeah,
was the tag team match, hands down. Period. No questions asked. The highlight of the night was the tag team match.
I saw the ending of that
It
match,
was
and
really
I
really
love the
good.
ending.
Yeah, and the ending was so creative. Like, when's the last time you saw, the sort of babyface team fake a tag? Like, well, just when's the last time you ever really saw anyone fake a tag? I mean, that was really creative. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. So
Um, so there was that, and then we got like here's what kind of stole what little of the show I watched. I saw that night. Um, and it's something I complained about 4 months ago.
yeah, I know what you're gonna
Neville,
say. Yeah,
Neville,
but it was really good.
but it was really good. It's like I know this guy is going to be the face of the division. I've known this for 4 months. He doesn't even have to be on TV. And every single time we talk about the cruiserweights, I just keep going, "Hey, where's Neville? Hey, where's Neville?
Yeah.
Hey, when are they going to bring Neville in? Hey,
Well,
when
and
is
they
Neville
brought
going to
him
get?"
in the best way possible. I mean, he's like
Yeah,
this vicious, just SOB of a guy who knows and has all the resume to prove that he's better than every freaking one of them in the ring. He's
and they
absolutely 100% better.
and what made it even better is they had him heel for a little bit or heelish in NXT for a
Yeah, he
little
was
bit when he
sort of tweener. Yeah.
after he defended his title in an gentlemanly way against Sami Zayn.
Yeah, the fake
Until
injury
the
spot.
ending of the Sami Zayn match, he was kind of like that little. He had a little dark side to him, but
Yeah.
it was nothing like this. Like
No, not
this
even
takes
close.
the cake, and it was like it's really good because for me, it's I told you this a couple weeks ago, maybe last week is again. 205 Live, the cruiserweight division is doing nothing for me. Like there's nothing to it, and now they're adding Alicia Fox into it with the Noam Dar, Cedric Alexander thing, and they're kind of like WWE, doing the WWE stamp
Yeah.
on something that is kind of trying to be like I won't say Ring of Honor, but kind of trying to be like your indie fed, except with notable guys that don't sell tickets, basically. Not to I'm
Yeah,
not talking down to the talent. I'm
you're
just
not
kind of like,
denigrating them. You're just
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
they aren't guys that someone's just like,
right.
"Oh my gosh, I want to go see Jack Gallagher and I want to bring my whole family to see it."
It's like,
And
oh, what?
again, I love Jack Gallagher, but he's just not on that level yet.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, it's like, hey, you bring in the two guys for the cruiserweight match, and be like, hey, what do you guys have planned for this match? Oh, we'll do this. We'll do this rope spot. We'll do this dive to the outside. We can do this series of suplexes. Oh yeah, you know what? That's great. Okay, well, Alicia Fox is going to be on ringside. She's going to fall off the apron, fake sprain her ankle. You're going to go over and be concerned about her, and you're going to get rolled. No, see, that's WWE, and that's what they're doing. But instead of just giving you Neville and just being like, hey, here's Neville. Neville's champion. Now you're going to go 180 on Neville, and and he's so good in
In a
that role.
very, very serious way. I mean, like, I don't think we've ever seen him play like when he was a babyface on the main roster. He's like this, you know, super mega white meat babyface, and it was cheesy as all get out, but he was so good in the ring that it was forgivable. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now he's still just as good in the ring, and he's this vicious, nasty character, and he's playing it perfectly,
Yeah,
fantastically. It's impressive.
it's so
It's really
it,
impressive.
it's funny how good he's playing the character, considering the fact that he's not played that character in WWE ever.
Yeah,
He's been there since 2013, maybe 2012. I would say 13, and in NXT at least on on camera, and 3 years, and yeah, it's pretty damn good. And so when that like the music hit, and I kind of was like, my eyes were
You're
still
like,
asleep,
here
and
we go.
then I heard Cole's reaction. I
Yeah.
was like, "What?" And I woke up. I woke up to it, and yeah, but yeah, Foley was there. I kind of was surprised that he wouldn't be there. I think I said that last week when we were talking about him not being around, taking leave of absence, and he was on Raw as well. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
And he's
listen,
jumping around, jumping off the ropes, and allegedly needs hip replacement surgery. So that's different.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know what was, it
yeah.
was probably on the Onion, and somebody reported on it. But,
Yeah, that's entirely possible as well.
or
A lot
it's
of this
just he's
crap just gets made up.
fulfilling whatever storyline they had planned for him, and that was his last Monday until
Yeah, we'll see. Until next week.
until there's another Monday
But
when they left. But
aside from the tag match and NEVILLE, I mean, really, the rest of the card was just it was a Raw. And it was what we've said in the past where we're getting pretty salty about it. And I'm not going to get that way now because I could, but I'm not going to get that way now. But Roadblock was essentially just, another 3 hours of Raw before we watched 3 hours of Raw. And just nothing, besides those couple of moments, nothing really stood out. And
nothing happened. Well, NEVILLE happened, and we had the tag team title changes, and those are the only two things we brought up because those are the two things we really cared about.
Yeah, I mean the ladies have moved on, but to a point, it's like they've like their finish, while good, the roles were reversed, so it made no sense. And now they're going.
Well. Time to introduce a segment.
Okay.
Wrestling fans through the eyes of Vince McMahon.
Okay.
Here is a situation where Vince is not high on Sasha Banks. And we've said this before. And that's why the title's never on her for a longer period of time, because the title's always better on Charlotte for ratings, money, fan interest, whatever, and somebody else trying to get it from Charlotte than it is with Sasha Banks holding the role.
And let me interject. In all honesty, between those two, and really with any of the women on that are featured on Raw right now, Charlotte is your best. She's your best draw, hands down. Period.
Oh yeah,
hands
honestly,
down.
Like, she's not the one we want to see to win, but she's
right.
better with the title.
Right.
It's better business with the title. It's all that we understand.
I completely agree with that. Yes.
And she gets people like us to want to root against her.
Sure.
So I mean, like, if you can do that, then hey, listen, you're working.
I mean, she's a great heel, and right. I actually enjoy her heel work and don't mind her having the title because she's a good heel, and it makes the babyface stories more believable because she's a good heel. Hint, hint. So, elsewhere that would be good too. But anyway.
So backstage, it's widely considered that Bayley is going to be more over than Sasha Banks ever was. So they're holding back on Bayley, and this is not Angry Larry speculation. This is reported from whoever reported it from backstage sources, quote unquote. So Bayley's always been saved for this role because it's going to lead up to Bayley Charlotte WrestleMania for the title somehow, which is not too far away because you just do Royal Rumble and then you're basically there. Like, all those feuds then spill over to wrestling. So the plan was, and the plan did happen this way, where Charlotte got Sasha in the submission after Sasha was up 2-1. So the fans were supposed to get so behind Sasha, like, please don't tap, or no, when for that ending, the crowd was going to be so hot that when Sasha Banks finally tapped, the crowd was going to be pissed. And Charlotte was going to get heel heat, legit heel heat, whatever you want to call it. And then going into the overtime, by that time, the fans were just going to be ultimately pissed over the outcome that Charlotte won. So Charlotte has Sasha in the figure 4 or figure 8, whatever the move was that caused, because again, I was sleeping. I don't even know what it was. Whatever the move was to get Sasha to tap out with 2 seconds left. Did
Yeah,
not even
she
get.
bridged. She bridged into the. She finally. It took her
Okay.
forever, but she finally bridged. I mean,
I thought that was the
masterful.
ending to overtime, or was the ending to both?
It was the ending to both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the time that happened, the crowd was not really go Sasha go, please don't tap, or no no no. They were kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say they were on their hands, but they weren't invested in Sasha not tapping.
Well,
the way
as
that
someone who was awake, and that's not a dig. It's just
yeah.
I saw most of the pay-per-view. As someone who was there, who or not there, but who was watching it the whole time, the crowd was generally dead.
Yeah. So
and I'm not someone that, and we've talked about, I'm not someone who necessarily gets affected by the crowd, but when you're relying on the crowd for a spot like this, like what you're talking about, it's a problem. Anyway,
that's what the spot was. That was McMahon's call to have that spot because the crowd's going to react. Crowd's going to get so invested in Sasha that they're going to boo the hell out of Charlotte. Like, they're going to get one on the crowd. This was a match where they're going to get one on the crowd, and just proper heel stuff. It is nothing that hasn't been done a million times before in the wrestling business. It's what they do. This is how they do it, and the crowd just wasn't into it to get that reaction, and McMahon wasn't happy. So we talk about that,
and you
can't
being... and Bayley can't be the babyface she needs to be if he can't get the heat on Charlotte. It's just it's never going to, like, two things are going to prevent Bayley from being the babyface they want her to be. One is not getting enough heat on Charlotte, not getting it, even if they do it the right way, not judging the crowd right, so on and so forth. That's one thing. The other thing is having Bayley do the rodeo spot. She's got to drop it. She's got to drop it because people just look at her like, "What is she doing?" And the crowd gets really silent. Because I think it's amusing, but she does it a little too much, and I think it's one of those things where Vince really like thinks it's hilarious, and so he tells her to do it like twice as long as she probably should, and it doesn't really get anything because of when she normally does it in the match. She normally does it really early instead of like as a sort of transition and stuff like that. So
I think a lot of things Bayley does gets over in a 300 to 500 person crowd that's there to see Bayley, but doesn't translate well to a 14,000 person arena who's not there to see Bayley. You know what I mean? You go to NXT.
Yeah, it's really the second part. It's like they're not, like, right now she's not the top and maybe she gets there. But again,
but NXT, she was the
goes
top
back
draw.
on.
Forget about female. Forget about babyface. She was a top draw.
Right.
You went there. You were there, and it didn't matter if you wanted to see Finn Balor or Joe or whoever else. You were also there to see Bayley.
Sure.
In American Airlines Arena or wherever the hell they are, you're not there to see Bayley. Like, Bayley's on the card. Like, that's the problem with Raw and stuff. You're really not there to see people.
Yeah,
it's an event.
They've built no one as a draw, and they've like very intentionally built no one as a draw, and it's not that we see that all over the place. I'm not gonna get on the rant again, but that's the Roman Reigns problem.
Well, closest thing you have to any kind of draw is your fans are drawn there to boo Roman Reigns.
Right, but you won't actually make him the guy that should be booed. So anyway, let's stay off that.
Well, that's just ridiculous. The thing between that. So again, you're right. If Charlotte has that heat, if that works and Charlotte gets that heat, then Bayley has it. But let's transition into Raw because there's something I want to say about that as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought for sure that Sasha coming out, and then Nia coming out after her was going to lead to a face Charlotte coming to the ring defending Sasha, and then Charlotte Nia Jax was going to happen, but they left Nia versus Sasha isolated from then Charlotte versus Bayley interrupting Charlotte's victory speech or whatever happened there, and then they had a match right after, and Bayley won the match. I'm actually a little disappointed though, and this is the fan in me speaking. This is not like I think they did it wrong. I think they should have done it this way. I'm just disappointed as a fan that they didn't go that direction, because I think that, I don't know, I think that it could have been like a nice time, a nice turning point, a nice way to end the feud, to say that, like, yeah, they're not going to fight anytime soon, if they're both on the same kind of Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns kind of side of the fence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Now let me take this in a different direction, but talk about the exact same segments. These to me were the gift wrapped segments for the reintroduction of Mickie James. Either way, and Mickie James doesn't have to come out as a heel for for Sasha. She comes out and says, "Hey, or better yet, you have the Nia Jax thing, and then Mickie James comes out and defends Sasha Banks and freaks everybody out. What's she doing to defend Sasha Banks? And Mickie helps the boss get her boss back, and because that was the whole thing was, she's not the boss anymore.
She lost her smile.
Yeah, yeah. So you give her you give her sort of a mentor role, where she eventually, becomes the boss that we remember from NXT when she turns on Mickie, right? So that storyline just writes itself. Super easy, no problem, and you've got a pro in there to have great matches in the process, and so on and so forth. Now, on the other side of it, the Charlotte thing. Charlotte talks about... Charlotte even brought up Trish Stratus. And I'm like, okay, well, here comes Mickie, right? It only makes sense. Like, one of Trish's greatest rivals, if not her greatest, people always talk about Lita because Mickie left on bad terms, but now Mickey's back. It only makes sense for her to show up, right? No, we're going to do the Bayley thing. And again, you still could have Bayley involved in that story, and Mickie building Bayley into a monster with, sort of the, not the traditional monster sense, but building Bayley into a true babyface, having the grand babyface versus babyface gesture match where, the young up and comer overcomes the veteran, and the veteran gives her the rub, and then she moves on to slay the giant in Charlotte. Bayley moves on to slay the giant in Charlotte. Like, both of those stories completely write themselves with Mickie James in either one of those pictures. And she gets to be the veteran who, by the way, in the last match we saw her in, probably looked the best she's ever looked from a wrestling standpoint, in my opinion. And it just totally fits. But instead, it's sterile, and it's like you said, it's just like, nobody really inserts themselves to defend anyone. It's just like, hey, I've beat you before, I'm going to beat you again. It's, hey, I'm a monster and you're a little girl and I'm going to beat you up. It's all just too straightforward. It's like we get on one side we get things that are too convoluted, and on the other side we get things that are way too simple. And I just wish they'd find a way to meet in the middle on most things and make things generally better. So,
are we confirmed that Mickie James was actually truly signed? Or
no, I don't know. Yeah, see, and that's the thing, is I don't know how true that is. That was just from one of the sites. I haven't seen anyone say, no, I didn't say that, like something else that happened this past week. But
Cassius Ohno?
Yeah. What's that?
I said Cassius Ohno?
No, not that. There was that too, but no. What was it? Hang on, I can find it real quick while you're moving us forward. I'll come back to it for a second.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, here's something from the what's old is new again department, and what once worked we're going to kind of do again, and maybe not in the best of ways or as successful as prior. But the whole Team Hell No stuff. I am the tag team champions. It looks like Sheamus is kind of doing that. And for however they got along to become the champions and bonded, they've all of a sudden instantly moved back away from that to be like the two separate entities and not really wanting to be tagging with each other, whatever. The only thing they can agree about is, they were tag team, but they can't get along anyway else. So it's kind of like Daniel Bryan and Kane, even so much where one person's grabbing both title belts and holding them up in the air. But on the same note, then we also got the anger management stuff and sensitivity training with Enzo Amore. So they're taking part of that as well and pushing it to Enzo. And it was kind of cool. It was kind of like one of those, I don't know, like TV shows or whatever, where you're watching somebody who's mentally unstable, but like it's like House, like one of the seasons of House. House was put in a rehab facility, and he was with all these mentally challenged people, schizophrenia, and people that wouldn't talk, no social skills or whatever like that. And you're just watching Enzo be Enzo in a room where everyone's trying to be normal, and it just didn't make Enzo look good. You know what I mean? It made him look stupid.
Sure.
It made him look like he had problems. I don't know what but the silver lining came out of that when Rusev attacked him, and that's not the silver lining part. But Jinder Mahal helped him. So now I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'm not the biggest Jinder Mahal fan.
No, but they look good together. They look really, like I said that at the time. I'm like, I could actually get behind this as a tag team, and you need a new heel tag team to come in and just start messing with people.
We don't need tag teams. We have 6 million tag teams we do nothing with. We need a stable.
Okay, fair enough.
Solid solution stable. We need the League of Nations.
Yeah, what it should have been. Yeah.
Rusev. Hey, how about this, Duke? How about Cesaro comes full circle? Cesaro, Sheamus, Jinder Mahal, Rusev.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Cesaro.
It's not going to happen. I'm just listen. It's not.
I get what you're saying. I think Cesaro's too over.
Would that be?
Like, he's not great on the mic, but he's just too over to.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying, like, how cool would it be just to have them together? Not the reality of is it going to happen or will it happen?
Yeah. It could be. It could be a crazy stable. It could be pretty wild. Yeah.
And there's your League of Nations.
Yeah.
We represent a lot of places that normal factions and things don't represent.
Yeah.
Bulgaria, Ireland, I guess he's Canadian, but we'll say India. And then and then Switzerland, that's just, and Rusev and Lana, Russia. Yeah. So it's like, that's pretty cool to have that happen. But in any event, just Rusev and Jinder Mahal together, it's just like, even if Jinder Mahal's I never wrestle, but I'm like the co-manager role, just he's always out there with Lana, causing interference,
because he can actually take bumps as opposed to Lana,
or dish out punishment as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would love to see a really serious and aggressive and violent Jinder Mahal. We never seemed to get that. He handled Khali. He was in 3-man band, and he's been a jobber in between. So we never got to see like a real aggressive, violent. The only thing he really did, I guess, with any notoriety, is he was in the finals of the NXT inaugural championship tournament against Seth Rollins. Right. So he had that run in NXT where he was a legitimate threat. But he was like the main roster guy coming down to NXT at the time. And if you want to talk about something we talk about off air about believability and being fooled by deception and stuff like that, like, just we don't buy into that. Like, he was there to serve a purpose to put somebody else over. And just like Drew McIntyre was at the time as well. So, yeah. I mean, listen, those two together. But that was really my favorite part of Raw.
Yeah. And that rumor that I was talking about, by the way, was someone had said that Mike Johnson from PW Insider was reporting that Joe versus Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles was penciled in for WrestleMania. And then he came out. He came out like the next day and said, "I never said that. I don't know where that came from."
Well, listen, that could be saving face from the inside source giving him information.
Could
that
very well be.
To pull, say it out loud.
Could have been embargoed, and he's just like, "No, I never said that. Wasn't me." Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, listen, I man, you want to talk about Ellsworth and Ambrose, or just Ellsworth just running its course really quickly after something we've enjoyed. I'm still kind of enjoying it, but I just didn't like the whole TLC spot. The whole Jericho Owens, it's like they tried to break him up and swerve the crowd, and it worked so well that they're like the next week they're like, let's do it again, but let's do it for 3 weeks this time instead of one day. And it's like, and then they came back together. It's kind of like, well, kind of glad they're back together, but on the same hand, it's like you just did this. Like you just did this. Like you didn't even just do this last year. You just did this 3 weeks ago. So it kind of fits in to who they are, the type of people who they are. But like, can we get some? Man, you ranted on the writers a couple weeks ago or last week. I mean, it's just like my family is a big watcher of Days of Our Lives. It's just, in my 30-something years in this world, it's just something that's always been on TV. Stay home sick from school, home in the summer, brothers, sisters, parents, like everyone always watched Days of Our Lives.
Sure.
And I remember I got really into it. I had a girlfriend who was into it as well. So we put it on TiVo and watch it every once in a while. Or not every once in a while. We watched it weekly, but like every so often, though, not daily. And like I just remember a time where there were these characters, Sammy and Lucas. And, Sammy and Lucas were once married and they have a kid together and they're on again, off again, on again. And it was like 8 months later. And it kind of seemed like they were still in the same place. And then it just makes sense to hear that WWE story writers are former soap opera writers.
Yeah, it's
like, well,
goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, because in soap operas you have to film 300, well, maybe not 300, but 250 plus episodes a year. I mean, there are no repeats.
Right.
If there's a day of television, there's a day of a soap opera on, and you're only really getting bumped because of something major happening, or like, a holiday or something, like Wimbledon or whatever, like the network would have to show in priority.
Literally, the most major things that ever happen in soap operas are from someone like dying in the real world. Like that's when the most earth-shattering things happen in a soap opera is when,
right? Because
we either have to put someone in this person's place or we have to
write somebody
write
off the
them
show.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
They take a job at another soap opera, so you have to say, okay, I'm going to make him die in the soap opera, or we're going to just bring in a replacement.
Yep.
Or they, weddings are a big one, and funerals are a big one, and everything else is just relationship, backstabbing, criminal stuff like that. But it's kind of like repeated and drawn out and whodunit kind of stuff. And but again, 250 episodes of the year. If they resolve that conflict in 1 week, what are you going to do for the next 7 3/4 months? You got to kind of draw some things out, alternate storylines between programs, or on this day, but not on this day. But in wrestling, it's every week. But yet they're still drawing things out week after week. And that's kind of like what the problem is for me right now. Just, it's stale. Like nothing is, even when stuff happens, new tag team champions and nEVILle snapping, like it's not happening at the right hierarchy on the card for it to even like really make a difference. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That's what I feel about Roadblock and Raw. But we had a nEVILle turn. We have new tag team champions, and we have a possibility that Jinder Mahal and Rusev are going to be a tandem. But we have the shenanigans at the top of the card. Shenanigans. Well, actually, no. Here we go. Best part of the wrestling week for me, and I know you're going to tell me yours is coming up. Here's mine. I have a Braun Strowman coming out at the end of Raw.
Yeah, that was surprising in the best way possible, because it's one of those times where it's like, are they admitting that are they realizing that they're doing something wrong, and so they're pivoting a little bit, maybe not completely, but they're at least, flipping the release valve a little bit, letting some of the pressure off of everyone's frustration.
Eject button.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying they're letting some pressure off of it, because I suspect next week, somehow Roman will Roman and Seth will double team Strowman in the middle of his match or something like that, and then beat him down with a chair or something, and they'll knock him down a rung. He'll still be the monster,
which
but
is
he'll be
still
the
good.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
here's why.
Okay.
Because Strowman punctured that main event bubble where only certain people were allowed in.
Fair enough. That's a
Now,
good point. That's a really good point.
Now he's there. He's going to have this thing with Sami Zayn, and all of a sudden he's in the main event. Hey, like, do we want to give them? Like, I know you're saying, like, did they? Whatever. I'll put it this way: did they hit the eject button on the Braun Strowman, Mick Foley, Sami Zayn thing?
That's
Or
not
was
actually what I was saying, but okay.
But that's kind of what I was.
Yeah,
what
I
I
got
was
you.
kind of going to say is just
Yeah.
like, hey, or do we want to just, or was that just a misdirection and just something to do with those two? And everyone thinks Sami Zayn's going to do his rematch, and Braun Strowman was just like, it was just a swerve for Braun Strowman to do this segment, this spot.
Well, I was saying more, it's a release valve on the fact that their baby faces, their two top baby faces just aren't over as baby faces. And Roman,
it works both ways.
Yeah. Roman and Seth just aren't over as baby faces, and so you send in this monster who's not necessary. I mean, yeah, he's not really he's not a baby face, but he's not necessarily a heel either. He's just a monster.
Yeah.
He's sort of, until he actually cheats to win, he's not really a heel. He's sort of Andre before Andre finally cheated to win. You know what I mean? And
Andre was beloved.
Yeah, but that, I guess that's what I'm saying, is that's the category he's getting in, is he's this lovable giant who just wrecks stuff. I feel like that's where Strowman is getting, and until he has his moment where he actually attacks someone else who's beloved, or cheats in a very obvious way to win something, I don't think, I think he's going to keep building steam as this monster that everyone wants to see destroy things.
Well, I thought that was the point of him destroying Sami Zayn, beating up somebody everyone beloves.
Well, yeah, I guess.
And then that's why,
but he hasn't cheated yet. You know what I'm saying?
No, but listen, I mean,
I guess I'm thinking of the spot where, Andre ripped the cross off of Hogan's chest.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's the, something dramatic, and just how, just Alexa Bliss level of how dare you, but yeah, I just think it was interesting to put him in there, and again, it's one of those things, you're like, are they just putting him there because they know that he's just that big a deal at this point, which is a good thing, or are they putting him there sort of for that, and also because it'll let some pressure off the fact that the baby faces just aren't really that over. So you send the monster out to destroy the baby faces, and at least people go home somewhat happy because they saw they saw Frankenstein's monster unleashed.
Do you know what the ultimate reason it happened was?
Why?
So they can do what Owens, Jericho, Strowman versus Zayn, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins main event 6-man tag match on a Raw, to kind of.
Or that was probably the dark match.
To kind of delay towards.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Actually, the dark segment, I believe, was the guys locking Jericho and Owens in the cage together, and them going and then being lifted up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
What is wild card finals?
Okay, so they're the finals, but there was no qualifiers, which Daniel actually pointed out on Talking Smack. He's just like, so they're the finals. When were the qualifiers? But anyway, I thought it was funny. What it is a 4 tag team elimination, 4 corners elimination tag team titles match is what it is.
So SmackDown Live's, the title of SmackDown Live is specific for that match?
Yes. So why is it wild card week? Is that what you're getting at?
No, I'm just saying, like, they were just advertising wild card finals. And I'm
Right.
just like, I don't know what a wild card's fight. Like every time, every segment on SmackDown, they would be like, and this just in, AJ Styles or just Alexa Bliss will fight Becky Lynch at the wild card next week at wild card finals.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, well, wild card, like
I don't know why they kept calling it that. I so they talked about the wild card match, which was they instead of having the triple threat that they were supposed to have last night, they turned it into a four corners elimination tag match next week, and they're calling it wild card because essentially anyone could win the titles instead of it being for a number one contendership and then a championship match next week. Now they're saying, hey, now any one of four teams could go home with the titles instead of it just being the Wyatts or whoever their opponent was going to be. So why ever that,
the Hype Bros.
Whatever caused that, who knows?
It was the Hype Bros. It was Zack Ryder getting hurt.
So no, but I'm saying whatever caused them to do that instead of the triple. There was supposed to be a triple threat. There was supposed to be Breeze. Who was it? Announced before the show that it was a singles triple threat where whoever would win. Let's see, it was like Connor versus Breeze versus
Mojo.
No, it wasn't Mojo.
Oh, it couldn't be Mojo because it was.
Yeah,
it was probably Gable or Jordan.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And it was. Yeah, it was one guy from each team in a triple threat, and whoever won the triple threat, that team would face the Wyatts. But I don't know if maybe they thought it was too convoluted, even though it was kind of interesting, or if maybe they just didn't think they had the time for it, which, I mean, they packed a lot in last night, so that's a valid reason, I would say. But anyway, I don't know why they shifted. It seems like time would be why they shifted from that to, hey, well, let's just do a big match next week, and we'll advertise it. And the way they advertised it at the beginning of the show and how they kept mentioning wildcard the rest of the night, it seems like the tag match is actually the main event of next week, even though you're going to have a women's title match and a men's triple threat.
Yeah, because that graphic was on every single slide they showed.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that, there's multiple people in each match except for the ladies' match so far. They may add someone to it. So I don't know. It is kind of weird for them to just sort of like create like essentially a pay-per-view build for next week's show. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Well, I mean,
and Cena's also going to be there and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, it's a huge year-end show. Instead of doing like the big, because Raw is going to probably have the big like start of 2017 show. So maybe it was like, all right, we'll make SmackDown's big show the last week of 2016, and then just do like a normal type of episode to follow Raw's big show, in 2017. Certainly, that's for sure. I mean, it's also a major pay-per-view month as well. So there's not a lot of things for these people to do. So that means the TV could be better in terms of having championship matches on TV and, intermingling, not having the same people fight the same people in different combinations, but like, the Wyatts defend against, they had the rematch with Corbin and Rhino and Slater a couple weeks ago. Now they can have this four corners match, whatever. You can do different things because there's like 6-7 weeks in between pay-per-views, even longer because this pay-per-view is a combined pay-per-view with a Royal Rumble. So there's not a lot of spots for matches on top of it. So a lot of these people won't be on the show except unless they're in the Rumble. So you can probably make better TV, better matches, less squashes, longer matches, stuff like that, and keep things nice and interesting. So that's part of it as well, I believe. I just didn't know. Like, they never explained why this SmackDown Live's show, next week's SmackDown Live show, was going to be named. Like, what was so special about it where it's going to be named? Like, and where did you come up with the name? Like, it just came out of nowhere. I'm just like, all right, well, okay. So wild card finals, it probably, well, no, I guess it can't mean that, because this week is week 16 in the NFL, and next week is 17, so it's not even wild card season for the NFL. It's like, I'm like, all right, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's just like, them being sort of funny with the marketing, and they're saying wild card because wild card is coming up in the NFL. So they're like, hey, we had the wild card first. In typical WWE fashion, you're like, well, we did it first. So
yeah, first time ever the word wild card appears on TV.
First time ever in 2016. Wild card showdowns in WWE. Who needs the NFL when you can see it on the WWE? Anyway, so
I was actually pretty excited that Ellsworth got knocked out.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that he just did his wombo combo, and then just sort of perched on him. Like, what did you expect?
Yeah, because
I'm done with this. Which was good.
They ended it. He's had his number, but he's had his number because Ambrose is helping him, and this is the first time he was there without Ambrose's help, and just a simple routine move just lost the match for him. So it shows he's not supposed to be there, but it also gives him a lot of. They also gives them a lot of things to do with him in the meantime. He can be a thorn in somebody's side. He can try to reconcile with Amber. Like, there's a lot of stuff they can do with him in a segment by segment basis
to get him out of the title picture, but still have him around.
Yeah, because what was he gonna do? Have a 25-minute epic match against AJ Styles and wind up just losing by the skin of his teeth, kicking out of 2 Styles clashes and only being put down by a Styles clash off the middle rope? No. So
and speaking, you mentioned Ambrose. Speaking of Ambrose, it seems Ambrose is now feuding with the entire roster of men. I actually loved the way they just beat down Ambrose this week. Like, that was an interesting take, because you don't really have a real guy who has to really fight for anything on SmackDown anymore, and so you take your top babyface and you have him destroyed by the tag champions. After he gets a win, but then he gets utterly humiliated by the tag champions, and then the other guy who had just exposed his relationship with Renee Young comes out, hits his finisher on him, and just leaves him in the dirt. So, yeah, Ambrose has all kinds of direction now. He can do anything at this point because everyone has attacked him.
Did AJ Styles run him down as well on the microphone, or did he only run down? Well, he kind of said, "I was the guy to beat Cena. I was the guy to beat Cena. I was the guy to beat Ambrose," kind of stuff.
Yeah.
On the microphone. So
yeah, but I mean, just like physical between what happened with Renee, which was interesting.
That came out of nowhere. Like, you want to talk about things that don't surprise me?
Yeah.
Then I can't get surprised and stuff like that. And as soon as Miz goes, "Why don't you tell me?" I'm like, all right, that's just an internal. That's an internal rib. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's funny. It's cute. Then he's like, "You're the one sleeping with him." I'm like, "Oh,
what?
Whoa!" but she's on Total Divas. She's not just a ring announcer or interviewer, and she's invested on Total Divas now. And now we got to get her into the mix, and now we got to make a reason. We got to give her her thing on the show.
But how about Renee being actually believable in that role, as opposed to a lot of the Divas segments that we've seen in the past, where it's just
my God, Natalia, did you hit me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like that. I forgot we had an example within the show. So there's that, but then you had Renee, who was actually believable, and she did her backstage thing, and she did something on Talking Smack about it, and just said, "There, it's done. I said what I I shouldn't have done it, but he also shouldn't have said that. Blah blah blah. It was good, but
But
she's believable. But then then you've still got Miz who adds literal. Well, he adds injury to insult by coming out and hitting the skull crushing finale
yeah,
on Ambrose later on
your
in the show.
girlfriend hit me. I'm putting you into the
Yeah,
into the thing.
exactly. It's just like,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, two things here. One, I'll wrap up the Dean Ambrose stuff. One,
yeah,
um, your loser of your title matches are now fighting for the other titles. It's happening again. Ambrose loses to AJ Styles. He's going to fight for the Intercontinental title. Ziggler loses the Intercontinental. He's going to fight for the heavyweight title.
yeah. They're just swapping. Yeah.
So it's happening again. And then the second part of this is you want to talk about divas and not being, one of the ones who's annoyed us the most, like stock way down person, has been Natalya over the course of the year. When she wasn't involved in the Divas Revolution, it was kind of like almost like, where's Natalya? She's probably the best, one of the best wrestlers of the bunch. And then she comes in and we're like, all right, well, hey, you guys. And it's like, all right, well, we're done with you. But when she like just took the mic and was just started like doing the work shoot, and her voice was like that and calm and to the point. I'm like, that's, why wasn't this a thing with Natalya all this time?
Well, yeah. Why was she a cheesy heel? Like before, she was just such a goober heel, and not in a comedic like. Well, she's she's gonna get her comeuppance pretty quick because she's a goober heel or whatever. No, she was just like nothing was believable. Well, I don't know what's going on with SmackDown because for the most part, in most cases, everyone's believable. Even freaking Ellsworth is pretty believable in his role, and I feel like they've got someone backstage that's saying, "All right, this is what I want you to think about when you do this promo. I don't want you to just read the lines. I don't want you to just recite them. This is what I want you to be thinking about." There's some method to a lot of the acting that's going on SmackDown, and it's pretty refreshing. I think that's why their characters. I think that's why the show has gotten over, even though, like you said, they're kind of playing some of the same cards that Raw does. It's still right now. People still have there's still a lot of rose-tinted glasses toward SmackDown right now because the acting is coming across really believable, and the stories are being told really well.
It's just a tighter show. You have less people, so you have more meaningful segments. You don't have the cruiserweight division, and this is, again, not a knock on the cruiserweight division, but it's different than Raw. So, and then they try to sell it as its own unique brand with 205 Live on Tuesday nights and stuff like that. Well, it's taking away from the atmosphere of Raw at the same time. Then you have you're trying to mix in like everybody, so every match has like 600 people in it. It's like, well, then you go to SmackDown and it's 2 hours and it's tight. And yeah, people repeat week to week and matches repeat week to week. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's almost over. Like next thing you know, the main event's on.
Yeah, you just don't really have time to get tired of it. And even if there's a down segment, you have a good match after that, and you don't really think about the down segment anymore. Whereas on Raw, you have so much time to think about that stuff.
Right, and then they have packaged promos as well. So it's like you have in-ring segment, match. Let's recap the in-ring segment. Let's recap what happened this weekend. Let's recap, let's sit down with Brock Lesnar and Heyman for 10 minutes. We sat down with them. Let's talk to, there's just so much fluff in between the matches, and then the matches aren't even like, they just don't flow together from segment to segment with the, again, 205 Live cruiserweight stuff to the main event stuff, and it's just, I don't know. And then just you have SmackDown, it's so tight and compact. You have them, you have as many titles, maybe one less title, but it just works so well, and it's a more enjoyable show. And yeah, we're mixing people in though, and I think it's I think it's acceptable right now. We put Baron Corbin in the main event match for next week for the title.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You know, you got Cruz in there with the Miz. Cruz beat the Miz, I guess, on
Tribute to
Salute
the
to
troops.
Tribute
Yeah.
to the Troops. Yeah. So with Fluffy's help,
Which, by the way, that recap was fantastic,
that
and
recap was pretty good.
those
It made me,
pictures were great because
yeah,
Gabriel Iglesias loves wrestling, like utterly,
yeah.
like adores wrestling.
But like
So
even with
I
with
think he was really
Marie,
excited about being a
even with
part of it.
Maurice in the background, like everything just like those
Yeah,
pictures are so good. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could do without, like Mojo Rawley versus Hawkins, like I could do without that, even though I really want to like Hawkins, but I just can't like what they're doing with him. Um, and I don't like the Natalia, Nikki Bella, Carmella stuff. I think it's just like wrong demographic kind of stuff. You're catering to like, I don't know, like 14 to 39-year-old women with a stuff like that. And it's a sport, probably a show that's probably 19 to 60-year-old men are watching, or 14 to 60-year-old men are watching. I just think it's the wrong place.
we could talk about that more at some point. They
Yeah,
obviously are grasping at other demographics, but they're
which is
just
fine. I guess they
they
should.
never go. It's just like a lot of things in WWE. They never fully commit to anything.
No, but then
So
even when I say I don't like that stuff, I really like the ending of it. And then you just got shooting going on all over the place. Miz
well,
did it to
I
Renee
got to be
Young. So
honest. I liked Carmella's role in all of that. I thought she was cool, just kind of sitting outside the ring. Like
oh, she was stern
I
hot,
liked her
yeah.
delivery. Her delivery was like she was absolutely she was probably the most believable person the entire night because she was just so smooth and just so
Well, yeah.
casual about
I mean,
everything she was doing.
what I'm saying is I love that segment where I didn't like it any of the other weeks because it was, oh
Oh,
my
gotcha.
god, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. She did it. I didn't do it. Like both of
Oh, I
them
get you. I
were
get you.
doing that kind of stuff. And then this time it was just like, oh yeah. Well, what'd you say about her the other day? It was like, all right, well, I mean, we have Miz shooting with Renee and Dean Ambrose, and now Carmella is doing the John Cena kind of stuff. Or Carmella started the John Cena stuff, and now Natalia was just like, "He'll never marry you." It's like, well, I mean, I guess we're kind of cross branding with Total Divas. It is the season, but
Yeah.
this is probably the best they've ever done it.
Yeah, I would say
Where,
so.
where it hasn't been like, hey, we're gonna have an 8-woman tag team match. It's the Total Diva girls versus the girls who were not good enough to be on the show, or not pretty enough to be on the show. And we'll play the music as they come out. So at least they're doing it better than they have. So yeah, no, top to bottom, it was pretty cool, and I am looking forward to next week's show. Wild card finals, Duke. Get excited.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Whatever.
NXT, right?
That dude got beat up from the first move where he got jacked on his head in the corner. Like that referee was concerned about him from that second on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you
True.
saw the referee run over to him and then run over to him again and then run over to him again and then kind of left him alone because they were going after the other guy. I think that was Anthony Bowens and John Ortegon, or however you want to say it, was the guy with the Turkish flag kind of thing on his tights. But then when they did that powerbomb thing, it kind of looked like he didn't take kind of looked like that didn't really hurt. And then he took a hard power bomb, but his head didn't smack against the mat. But I think it was the other guy getting power bombed on top of him. I think it just kind of like they might have went head to head or like shoulder to head, and then the dude didn't know where he was, like so much to the point where he was like kind of just like doing a backstroke.
Yeah, I'm hoping he's okay.
Yeah, and then
I
they
remember
could.
I laughed really hard because of the way I popped huge because of the way you said it at the beginning, but I remembered someone spoiled that picture ahead of or that finish ahead of time, and I didn't know it was from this show, and then it happened, and I'm like, oh, this was that thing people were talking about because they were, you know, people were just all over the Authors of Pain ever since they threw the chain into the audience, and so they're like, "Oh, these guys are just too green. God, get them out of the ring." It's just like, okay, it's still developmental. Like they have to have matches to learn to be better. They don't just sit in the gym all day. But anyway,
Yeah, but I mean,
but yeah,
to the point
that
where the
was
guy
rough.
couldn't
That
even
was rough.
they didn't even let the guy leave the ring afterwards.
Yeah, that was rough.
He was still in the ring, and I'm surprised they didn't kind of make Ella Ring take the guys up the ramp to do the promo. But I guess it happens like so quick, and you're in the ring to do the promo. Next thing you know, like they never moved the guy out of the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago, but I saw him sit up he was sitting up at the end of that, like at the last part of that. But
which is good.
I like Daria, by the way.
Yeah, I do too.
I
tell you what, the Aussies are getting some heat, and that's good to see. They're getting now. It is at Full Sail, but that means at the big shows. What's that?
So what was that chant at the end? I couldn't make out.
I couldn't tell either, but they were definitely not liking them, which is not a bad thing.
Right, because they went for the microphone and the crowd was reacting no, no, no. Then I'm like, well, did something else happen? Like, did I miss something? Did they cut away to something? Did they cut something out? And the crowd's reacting to what we may not have saw on TV.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had to watch it, obviously watched it right before the show tonight, so I haven't had a chance to really go back. I didn't have time to back up on a lot of things, but that was one thing that I was just like, I need to go back and see what they were trying to say. So
I think the women's division in NXT is pretty good if you remove Asuka from it. I think it's a lot like it sounds stupid to say.
I get what you're saying, though.
It's so much better without Asuka in the division
because she's so much better than everybody else.
Everyone's at such an equal level. Billie Kay and even Daria and Liv Morgan and Ember Moon and Nikki Cross. I mean, they're not all equal, but they're within a good enough range to have believable matches with each other where you can legitimately put one person over on the other and not really call it an upset, or you call it an upset based on just their win-loss record kind of stuff. But then Asuka's in the mix, and it's just like, well, there's just no one to wrestle her. Just that the Ember Moon is really the only one right now, and they're bringing in other people that have probably wrestled her in the past. But even then, like the way Asuka wrestles in NXT is a lot different than the way she wrestled in Shimmer, and Star and like everywhere else. Like she's more physically brutal in NXT, and she was more like of a wrestler's wrestler in all the other places. Like night and day. Like somebody who's just gotten so much better, and maybe because I don't know, maybe because of the position she was in with Nia Jax being bigger, that doesn't, you don't really get that kind of size wrestler in women's divisions too often.
Yeah.
Havoc's kind of big. I don't know if she's ever really fought Jessica Havoc though, but you don't get that thing. So Asuka being brutal on somebody who's bigger and a monster, like it kind of worked. And then Bayley is just everyone's fan favorite and a really good wrestler in her own right, as well. So you have that match, and it's compelling as well. Who did Asuka? And Asuka's and Dana Brooke was actually pretty good too. So maybe I shouldn't dismiss Asuka versus like Billie Kay, but I don't know. I just don't. I don't see it. So yeah, I think.
Well, we haven't seen it yet in the ring, but allegedly the Aussies are actually a lot better than what we've seen.
Well, I know they are,
but that's what. Yeah, it's
Jessie
weird.
McKay was one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Just and then on TV, it's just like, my God, this is not the same person. I question myself of even like, yeah. And I watched a Jessie McKay versus Kana match the other day. And I'm like, Mike, this is not the same person. Like, I know it's the same person, but I'm just saying this is not the same person because something's different. Like, she's not allowed to do half of her moves or something. But yeah. So yeah, I was a big Jessie McKay fan. I saw her wrestle a couple times in Shimmer, and in I don't know what the promotion was that I saw her wrestle Kana in. I gotta figure out what that was, but Kana being Asuka. If
I know. Yep.
Not you, but if anybody doesn't know.
Oh sure.
Yeah, and then I don't know, something happened, something was different, and she's not the same wrestler for some reason, but yeah. And what'd you think about the 4-way match?
I thought it was one of the better 4-way matches I've seen, honestly.
They do 4-way matches pretty good in
Yeah,
NXT.
it was really well done, and I'm like, and when it got down to Rude and Dillinger, I'm like, of course I'm a Dillinger mark. I'm like, they're not gonna let him win, are they? Because you can't have Ty and Nakamura. I mean, come on, it's not gonna work. So I will say I liked the finish. However, I hated that, and this is a problem in WWE. It's almost like people are being told to do this.
The announcers?
Yeah, they ignored what
taking the thing off,
happened.
yeah.
And this happens all the time now. Like, this has happened probably this year. I would say I could probably find 10 instances of a pad being removed, and so someone's making, the implication is someone's making contact with metal instead of padding, or all these things where essentially it's cheating, but it's that right up against the line cheating where you're just using the environment and you're not technically using a foreign object, right? But it's a heel tactic, and no one mentions it. Not even a word mentions it. The closest they got was Showtime saying, "I don't think anyone would be able to take a hit like that." So he was recognizing it, but it was almost like he wasn't
recognizing being crotched. I don't even think he was recognized
well,
being.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But you're right. You're right. But again, that was the closest we got to acknowledging the fact that Rude used heel tactics. Like, what in the world? Like, why? Like, that was the finish. The finish was for him to use the turnbuckle in a skirting the issue almost illegal way, and instead you're just like, oh man, he crouched him. No, he crouched him on the metal like apparatus that holds the ring together, the turnbuckle hook or whatever it is. But yeah, I don't get the announcers missing stuff like that all the time. All the time. It's almost like it's intentional.
Tom Phillips has never wanted to be I am so ashamed, I am disgusted by the act of this bad guy wrestler. He's never been an announcer who's done that. So it's really odd that they would do something like that, and it wouldn't be something where they'd be like, let's draw our attention to it. It doesn't even make sense to be like, well, for Ty Dillinger to be like, I was screwed last week, and everyone's like, yeah, you know what, we missed it, we didn't see it, but Rude is sneaky, and he removed the padding, kind of like a acknowledging it a week later kind of thing. Like, we missed this. This is what Bobby Roode resorted to in his win, and it makes Ty Dillinger look strong because he only won because of this kind of stuff.
Right.
And whereas nobody saw it, but
which I mean, that was obviously the point, is that Ty lost because there were heel tactics involved, not because Rude was the better wrestler or anything like that. It's supposed to be there was an unfair advantage at the last second, and that's why Ty lost. And that's the story that was told in the ring. No one points it out. And this is main roster NXT. This is all over the place in WWE. Why would you not point that out when that's the finish?
Especially when you're doing it to somebody who is questioning whether he belongs in the business or not.
Yeah.
And was 1 week removed from going in and resigning before he got an opportunity in this thing. Now it's like, well, he's kind of not looking strong right now because he lost again. So to any average person who probably really would have to be really an average person for them to not notice
to miss that, right?
I mean, listen,
what's funny, hang on.
It wasn't that noticeable, but you knew, it wasn't that noticeable he ripped it off. It wasn't dramatic. Sure. It wasn't premeditated. It wasn't,
the ref wasn't down or something like that. Yeah.
But you saw it fly. But not many places have a padding on that thing anyway. Um, and it's just like a cover. Let me ask you this question, devil's advocate here.
Okay.
Is it possible that it wasn't supposed to be a spot where he's ripping off the cover? He just accidentally pulled off whatever little cover was on it. Like it's not padding, but it's a cover to kind of like make the ring look better, like visually
Yeah,
better. Like
yeah.
so you don't see the
I
steel.
guess that's entirely possible. The only problem I have with it is that's where the finish occurred. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well, they still didn't acknowledge the fact that he was crotched, and it was illegal. It was a bad move, or a low equals a low blow, or whatever.
right.
Actually, it was no DQ, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So that doesn't. So I guess it doesn't matter at all anyway. But it's still
No, but you
he's
can just still have them argue with Corey Graves being like, well, it's not against the rules, anything to win,
right.
and then Percy Watson playing the holier than thou role of it's still cheating. It's
Right.
not honorable, and then Tom Phillips standing up for something,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah. But I mean
So
that happens. That happens on the main roster all the time too, and it's super. Well, and what's funny is then you've got the other side of it. Okay, so two things, and then I'm done with this. And I'm not just trying to be a tie mark because this happens everywhere with WWE. So you'll have you'll have Byron because Byron's character is outrage police, and so Byron will turn on the outrage siren every time somebody does something underhanded, even if it's in a no DQ type situation, like when Miz just destroyed Dolph's crotch over twice or whatever in the ladder match. Byron was crying about it for 5 minutes, right? And he even brought it up the next time they talked about not
no,
Byron, not Byron,
not Byron.
uh,
Otunga.
Otunga.
Yeah.
It's maybe the only good thing Otunga's ever done in WWE. But anyway, but he's talking about essentially what you're saying, where it's if you're going to take a cheap way out or whatever. Yes, it's legal, but it's a cheap way out of the match, right? So they talk about that, but so you've got examples of exactly what you said, where it's not illegal, but someone gets mad about it because I mean, come on, you took a shortcut and you didn't need to. You could have won the match without that. Is the idea? It would have just taken you a little more effort, and instead you took the easy way out. So there's that side of it, and so that's an example of it actually being acknowledged. Okay, now the other thing. So that but that adds to my frustration that it wasn't acknowledged in this case, especially given the character that you have Ty playing of this guy who's just like, maybe I'm done with wrestling because I can't get a win no matter what. And then he gets a pinfall in this thing, and then he sort of gets robbed at the end. And you're not going to point out that fact. That doesn't make sense. Now, the other thing is WWE makes a point of, and if they come back and they bring this up next week, then okay, that's sort of okay, but they should have done it in the moment because WWE is all about you're too dumb to actually see stuff like this. So I'm going to play to your devil's advocate a little bit and say maybe, just maybe, it wasn't intended. But man, it seems like it should have been.
No, my devil's
whether it
advocate
was intended or not, it seems like
yeah.
someone should have pointed it out.
No, my devil's advocate was just to be like, well, maybe there's that chance that he accidentally pulled off that, like that's a covering that really is not, like that wasn't supposed to be a thing, and it just happened. He had his hand on it and he kind of just like flipped it off and it just kind of like popped in the air, kind of thing, like because it's on there so tight. But I believe that I personally believe that he took it off to expose the steel to crotch him.
Yeah, and again,
there was no acknowledgement.
Well, and again, the heel announcers, typically Corey, will bend over backward to justify the actions of a heel. Where's the other side of that? At least, I mean, there's so often where there's not the other side of it, where you won't have someone point out that, in this scenario, what happened. But I'm beating a dead horse, but you get it. I'm a tie mark, and I don't think he should have won that match, but I think they could have protected him a little bit better in the
Ty's
loss.
the guy who doesn't want to have victories handed to him, but he lost unfairly, unjust.
Yeah.
What if Regal puts him in that championship match in San Antonio?
I don't
Not
know.
in replace of. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm not
triple
saying
threat.
This is what's going to happen, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm saying,
And that's
I don't
why
know
they
that.
didn't draw attention to it now.
Fair enough.
Maybe they'll draw attention to it next week.
Yeah, because they've got time. They've got plenty of time. So.
Money on the line. I just think they just didn't give it the proper justice.
Fair enough.
Is what I agree with you. They just didn't give it the proper justice. But
sure.
maybe we're just both beating a horse. Like the whole Eva Marie thing. She didn't kick out. That's something that happened.
Right.
But then they saved face on it the next week by saying, she's getting special treatment or whatever.
Sure.
So, maybe Bobby Roode's getting special treatment. Maybe we'll get Regal heel GM because of it. No, probably won't happen, but that'd be so cool. I would recap 205 Live, but I have a feeling that whatever happened on it of importance will be shown on Raw anyway.
Fair enough.
When Neville comes out, so
Neville was vicious. That's essentially what happened, which is great, and is probably going to be a drawing factor for that show, which I hope we've got something here.
Which is the problem, because
go.
they're going to have him being vicious on Raw as the commercial to the show. Excuse me. They're going to have him vicious on Raw to be the precursor commercial to the show.
Which is what they did this week.
And you're going to keep seeing it. Because they're like, hey, Neville. Neville's on 205 Live. Watch him beat up somebody in the ring now. You can see this Tuesday night.
He's now wearing all black.
Yeah, he wears all, and he's got a beard, but he's always had a beard. But this is like a full beard.
He's evil goatee.
His head shaved a little bit. See, bad guy.
Yeah.
He's on 205 Live. Watch it.
He's got the same haircut as Braun Strowman. That means he's a bad guy. That means he's a monster destroyer guy.
Jinder Mahal, Rusev, Braun Strowman, Neville. Let's have them all have all the titles.
Book it.
Let's do it.
I think we're done. We're done, aren't we?
I mean, I can start reading something if you want me to.
Nah, don't do it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. This has been a long show. I'm the Duke. He's the Larry.
Wait, hold on. One more thing. I just read this.
What?
Hold on. No, seriously. This is. I'm looking for the source right now.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. This says here, Steve Blackman. I don't know what that means.